Well, thank you, Shepard, very much. 80,000. That is how many jobs the American economy added last month. It's still not enough to get the jobless rate below 9%, which is exactly where it is. And reason enough for the president to once again push his jobs plan.
If we want to grow the economy right now, then we have to think bigger. We've got to do something bolder and more significant.
Bigger, bolder, translation, spend more. Home Depot co-founder Bernie Marcus says he's just spent, joins me now in this exclusive chat. You're saying repeating the same old thing is not going to get any different result, right?
Neil, we have to stop politicking and start doing something about it. I have a suggestion for the president. All he has to do is take a pen. He's lefty, okay? Take a pen and sign one order and let the Keystone XL pipeline go through. He'll create 120,000 jobs, no money on the part of the taxpayers. It's private industry that'll do it. Why in God's name is he not doing that? Do you have a solution for it? Do you have an answer for that, Neil?
What about just doing something bigger, though? He wants to follow up on the stimulus he's had, and you've been a known critic of it in the past. But if there was something that could go beyond just, let's say, in the oil industry, would it be to, I don't know, cut tax rates? Would it be to bring that foreign money home that a lot of companies have? What would it be?
Neil, you don't want to say, let's do the same thing. You hear it over and over again. The truth of the matter is, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to make the environment available for business people to survive and to grow. If you don't do it, you're not going to see anything. When government spends money, now we saw what happened with the energy companies that we invested in. We didn't make any money on that. We lost a ton of dough on that. If the government would stay out of the businessman's way, I think that we could see jobs grow in the United States. Otherwise, we're not going to see it. It's as simple as that. I mean, why can't the people in Washington understand it? Now, I understand the president. He's never been a job creator. Man never had a job in his life. But we have people in Congress, they ought to know better. They've been there for a number of years, and they know what can create jobs. They're just not willing to do it. It's lower taxes. It's take the regulations off. Stop killing the businessman with the regulations. Look, we have today an NLRB that's running wild. An NLRB
You're talking about the National Labor Relations Board. Go ahead.
Oh, sure. And you know that card check was knocked out by the Congress. Democrats and Republicans both didn't support it, didn't want it, but the NLRB is doing it anyway. And you have the EPA doing the same thing. Look, while you're talking out of one side of your mouth, you have to understand you're damaging the economy with the other side of your mouth. You got to put them all together and start doing the right thing for America. And the right thing for America is to let businesses create jobs and keep the government out of the job creation business. That's not their business.
So what do you say when Nancy Pelosi was saying yesterday, I had a congresswoman on this very show yesterday, Bernie, who agreed with her that if not for that stimulus, say what you will, but unemployment would be markedly higher at 15% rather than 9% we're looking at. What do you make of that?
Neil, I don't know what they're drinking, but you know what? I think they ought to spread it around America. We all need to have something good happen to us. It's only happening in Washington. It's not happening anywhere else. And to hear Nancy Pelosi come out, I don't know where she's getting these fables from. She believes her own garbage. And I think that's the problem. They're inside the Beltway. They're not outside the Beltway. They don't know what's happening in America. And small businesses in America today, which is the backbone of the economy, if the small businesses are not surviving, America's not going to survive. And small businesses today are not doing it, Neil. They're not hiring people.
Well, what would it take? I mean, when you got
hire.
Home Depot off the ground and you robbed Peter to pay Paul, you scraped together dimes, whatever you could to get that going, you and Ken Langone and some other buddies, you did it in a very iffy economic environment. And many of the great ones, those who became billionaires, very successful stories like yourself and Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and Alan Bernstein, the restaurateur who died a couple of days ago, you all started when times were tough, very, very tough. So what's to say there aren't little mini Bernie Marcuses running around right now, not listening to all this Washington kvetching and succeeding despite it? That maybe Washington has nothing to do with the entrepreneurial spirit. And if you're really good at what you do, you'll do well, whatever Washington's doing.
You know what, Neil? Let me tell you, America is a great place, and I think the American people are wonderful. And entrepreneurs, you just can't hold entrepreneurs down. But the truth is that it can't happen as easily, not as easily. I mean, it took 30 years for Home Depot to grow to a point where today Home Depot has 330,000 people working for it and millions of jobs that they've created in manufacturing and all over. But you have to remember, back in 1978, up into the 80s until the middle of the 95s, we didn't have the regulations that we have today. We didn't have Sarbanes-Oxley the way we have Sarbanes-Oxley. We didn't have a strong EPA the way we have a strong EPA today. We didn't have the regulations coming out of Washington.
So you're saying you could not have done today what you did then?
No, I don't believe it. I really don't. I have tried to put myself back in those days, and I, honest to God, don't believe, Neil, that if we started the Home Depot today with the environment being the same, with no big stores the way our stores were, we could not have gone past 10 or 15 stores. It's impossible. If you just look at the litigation today that businesses go through, not running a business, you cannot believe the amount of litigation on every single thing you're doing. My board was made up of people who are involved in our business. We had all investors in our business. And I didn't have, when we made a decision, Arthur, myself, and Kenny, we never consulted our lawyers. We never had to do that. Today, a CEO cannot make a decision with having groups of lawyers helping him make the decision.
Yeah, but now you get a view from this administration and others and all these Occupy Wall Street folks who don't trust guys like you. They don't like guys like you. And they say this disparity between the very wealthy and the average Joe has gotten so bad that something must be done and the government has got to do something. And they seem to have at least the sympathy, if not the outright support, of the White House.
Well, look, the Occupy Wall Street group of kids, you know, they started out, I think they have a better target. I think they ought to go after Barney Frank by himself, just Barney Frank by himself. Chris Dodd, I mean, the two of them have done more to damage the United States and their economy than the banks will ever do. And I think
but isn't there a bigger point? I don't share that view. I was down there with a lot of them. They thought I was Sean Hannity. One of them said, boy, Hannity's gained some weight. And what I told them is I just cursed them out. They still think that was Hannity. But my point is there anything to the perception that then becomes the reality? The media covers them ad nauseum, that it is business. And business is giving average folks the business. Wants more breaks, wants more tax write-offs, and it's not fair, not right. What do you say?
Listen, Neil, first of all, this group in Wall Street and the groups around the country, the guys in Oakland that are breaking the windows and everything, they're a small percentage of America. American people, I think that most independent voters, especially independent voters, are looking at this and saying, how sad, look where we've gotten. And look, if you think that this is going to change the policies of the United States, you're 100% totally wrong. It's not going to happen. That's why we formed the Job Creators Alliance. We've talked about it, Neil, you and I before. The Job Creators Alliance, which is a group of business people who are talking about the things that they need to have happen in the United States for business to grow. And I'm talking about small business people. I'm talking about people that don't have the lobbyists in Washington. This is the guy who owns, 3 restaurants, or a man that has 400 or 500 people working for him. These people don't have anybody represent them. They get bounced around. They're like a rowboat in the ocean, just bouncing around. They don't know where to go. The one thing that they know is certain, and a lot of people talk about the uncertainty that people are not invested because of uncertainty. The truth is, it's certainty. They know their taxes are going to go up. They know with Obamacare coming down, they're going to be faced with a tremendous decision on what to do with the health insurance for their employees. They understand that the EPA is going to create problems for them. It's the certainty that is keeping people from investing in new jobs.
Then what do you think of Warren Buffett?
The problem.
Real quick, Warren Buffett says the rich should pay more. Guys like you should pay more. What do you say?
Well, I think Warren Buffett should have given away a lot of money earlier than he did now. I mean, he could have been doing it for the last 15, 20 years, which is what I advised him to do about 15 years ago. And I said, Warren, you could, by yourself, you could honestly cure some form of cancer because Warren Buffett is so held in the high esteem by so many people that if he invested $1 million, he could have raised $50 million the same day.
Well, he's aligned with the president. He seems to be aligned with the president. Do you have any political horses in the ring you're looking at or liking?
Yeah, I think that they all have a point. I think the one thing that's coming out of this is really good, and I'm talking about the debates, because when you get away from the bickering that's going on among the candidates, I think the one thing that's coming out is that whoever gets in office, if it's going to be Republican, they know they have to do something dramatic. They understand that they can't keep it the way it is. I think the tax code needs a complete overhaul, and if you took all of those plans that they have together and you came up with one plan, I think a flat tax it's time. And by the way, I was an opponent of flat tax, 5 years ago, 7 years ago when it first came on the scene. I'm beginning to like it more and more.
What do you make of Herman Cain's plan? One of the lawyers of one of his accusers on this harassment thing is speaking to the media right now. We're not going to take that. We are just letting people know that he's taking questions from the media. But leaving aside these charges and what lawyers are doing, what do you make of his 999 plan? A lot of people have been piling on that.
No, I don't like his 999 plan. I will tell you the truth, because I think that if you had a 9% tax on goods that you buy, every state has a tax on merchandise also, and all of a sudden you're around 12, 14, 15%. And the poorer people, the lower income people are not going to be able to afford that. It's not fair to them. So I don't like that plan. I think that other parts of the plan make sense to me. Lower corporate taxes. I think we have to bring some of the money back from overseas. I think that's important.
So a tax reprieve, a lot of Blue Dog Democrats are talking about a tax holiday for that money. Are you for that?
Yeah, I am. I think if you bring that money back, it's going to only help create jobs.
So Mitt Romney, what do you think of Mitt Romney, Bernie?
Well, Mitt Romney, I think, has to get a little stronger in what he's talking about. I think he's playing the safe road. By the way, I must tell you, that, and I said this to Mitt Romney, I'm going to say it to you right now. If Mitt Romney had won the election last time, and he really was the most competent to do it, to get the nomination for the Republican Party, I don't think we'd be in this kind of trouble today. I think that we're in this trouble today because we have a group of economists that are all economists out of universities who really don't have a clue, not a single clue, on how to create jobs in America or solve this problem. And the president has surrounded himself with these kind of people. People like me, somebody like me, why would he listen to me? I've only created several million jobs in my lifetime, and I'm the wrong kind of guy to talk to. Why listen to me, a guy like me? I don't have a PhD behind my name, okay?
That's right.
I have a retailing experience, that's it. So, look.
Well, you really could have done something with your life then, Bernie. It's a pity you never did.
I could have been somebody, no question about it.
Bernie, a pleasure and an honor as always. One of the legends in American corporate history, created so many jobs. Home Depot, and it's done a lot of good in Atlanta. Big aquarium in Atlanta, so much more. Thank you. Good seeing you again, sir.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
All right. As